Spirit into him. Just focus this morning. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. And the tempter came to him and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." Jesus answered, "It is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. "If you are the Son of God," he said, "throw yourself down. For it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Jesus answered him, "It is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. "All this I will give you," he said, "if you will bow down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Then the devil left him, and angels came and attended him. These are the words of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. You may be seated. This is a very clear example of the love of God and how much he loves us today in this world. Because I think of all the gospel writers, they included this story in every one of the presentations of the gospel, showing us as clearly as possible that God understands the human condition that we live in, especially today. We live in a fallen world. Lots of sin and brokenness all around us. So he even had his own son, himself, tempted in the wilderness as a clear indication of his comprehension of the difficulties we face today and in and out of today's world. Many times the temptation story of Jesus seems kind of far removed from our lives. It doesn't, we look at the surface of these things that Jesus faced: stone into bread, jumping off the highest part of the temple, having God's angels catch us, being placed on a very high mountain so we could see the whole world, and then being told we could have it all. And that seems far removed from the sins that we face today. So we're going to focus a little bit on one of those, because that first temptation speaks of turning stones into bread. And as Jesus sits in the desert, he's very hungry. He hadn't eaten for 40 days. And the devil approaches and, probably in a voice of reason, says, "You look like you're starving. You are the Son of God." If you notice, he always says, "If you are the Son of God," that the devil knows he is. If you are the Son of God, turn all these stones into bread. And Jesus could have been tempted even farther by the devil, and in a way by saying, not just for yourself, but for everyone in the world. They need you. They need this food. They need what you possess. So give them what they want. Give them what they need. And then you would be their hero. And they would follow you anywhere. And so think about that for a moment. It doesn't sound so bad. Feed the world. Take care of all the hungry. But that's not what Satan was trying to do with Christ. He worked on Christ's weakness at that time. And that was his hunger. But really, the devil was right. He was working on the world's weakness, hunger, starvation. And so he was offering not just Jesus for himself to be fed, but the entire world. It was more than an attitude, it was kind of motivation. Jesus was tempted to take the easy way, a shortcut, if you will, to bypass what God had set in motion by just turning stone into bread. That's the essence of all these temptations. Take the easy way out, Jesus. Don't follow the plan that your father set forth. Follow my plan, Satan was saying. Turn the stone into bread. Jump off the temple. Show the people you are to be followed. Be the ruler of the whole world. Bring peace, bring justice, bring love, but do it the easy way. The way that doesn't rely on God. Leave God out of the picture is what Satan was really telling us here. Now that temptation is not so far removed from our lives today. Because if we think of them as leaving God out of the picture of life and controlling our lives ourselves, control, power, accountability, those are the sins of our lives today. We like to pretend, we like to play games with each other and with God that, we're not as bad or as unrighteous or as unholy as someone else that we may know. And we'll gladly point a finger at that person. We sit in our own smugness, our own pride. Living life my way, sometimes we say, is better than God's way. If you remember, one of our fast food chains has a slogan that says, "Have it your way," right? Frank Sinatra had a great song out called "I Did It My Way." So there's a lot of theological truth in those two lines. We like to have things our own way. We want to take God out of the picture because we don't want Him to control our lives. We want to control and run our lives our way. And many times, no, all the time, when that happens, we do not live up to our potential, our goals, our vision of what we want for ourselves. And then we get angry, and who's the first person we blame for that? Not ourselves, we blame God. We want control. But when we think we have it, we are in all reality far from control. Because we're kind of like Paul, as he said. He said, that is, I don't accomplish the good things that I set out to do and the evil things that I don't want to do. I'm finding I'm always doing those anyway. And in the situation that we find ourselves today, two things can happen. We can become like a man in this story. There was a young man who said this about his life. He says, I always feel like I'm trying to climb out of a muddy, clinging swamp. And every time I just about reach the solid bank and am able to lift myself out, someone would come along, put their foot in my face, and push me back into the mud. And so finally I just decided to stay in the mud. And I have a lot of company here. And we can live a life like that. We can live a life of brokenness and desperation, never finding our true selves, never being happy with who we are or what we are doing. And we can stay in that muddy, swampy pit. And in there we can be constantly moving, thrashing, trying to climb out of that pit. Or we can surrender our lives to God and allow Him to lift us out. We can put God back into the picture of our lives, but we like it better when we're God. We like to pretend that we are as wise and powerful, some even better than God. But then guess where we end up? Back in the mud. And then our lives get so complex that even when we think we're allowing God to control our lives, He isn't. The poem that I'm about to read was in the New York Times, and it says this: I wish there was someone that would hear my confession. Not a pastor. I do not want to be told of my sin. Not a mother. because I don't want to bring her sorrow. Not a friend, because they would not know enough. Not someone who loves me, because they would be too partial. And not a God, because he is too far away. But someone who would be friend, mother, lover, pastor, and God all in one. A stranger, besides, who would not interfere. Who, when everything is said from beginning to end, would show the reason for it all. And then tell me to go ahead and work it out in my own way. That is the perfect picture of someone, or maybe a lot of people in today's world, who think God is in control in their lives. But he really isn't. You see, working it out our own way, puts us back in the mud. We keep playing with that mud. We try to keep getting out of that swamp. But we'll continue to keep struggling if we try to do it without God. If we were to let God into our lives and allow the breath of God to enter into our daily lives, allowing God to fill our life, allowing God to pour himself into our lives, then changes would happen. Amen? Amen. You wouldn't be a mud turtle anymore. You'd be a child of God. And in that relationship, God would be in control of your life. But now, not all at once. Sometimes when we turn our life over to God, what do we want? We want it to happen now, immediately. And then when we turn our lives over to God, we want it to be whose way? Our way, not God's way. But when God pulls us out of the mud and then remolds that mud and reshapes us and breathes his breath into our lives, his Holy Spirit into our lives, amazing things can happen. But the first step to acknowledge that the control of life is not getting us anywhere is in terms of finding peace, self-worth, and a sense of contentment. We have to admit to ourselves and to God that we're not mud turtles caught in the swamp of life. No matter how much we try or how much we struggle or how busy we seem to be or how far we hide all those things of pain and hurt, we have to remind ourselves that we can turn that all over to God. Martin Luther had a prayer he prayed each day, every day. And in it he asked God to allow him to surrender all those pains, all those things that he was hanging on to, and instead fill himself up with God's breath and God's Spirit. This is his prayer. Behold, Lord, an empty vessel that needs to be filled. I ask you, God, to fill it. I am weak in faith. Strengthen me. I am cold in love. Warm and make me fervent, that my love may go out to my neighbors. I do not have a strong and firm faith. At times I doubt, and I am unable to trust you altogether, God. Help me. In you I have sealed the treasure of all I have. I am poor. You are rich, and you come to be merciful to the poor. I am a sinner. You are upright. But with me there is an abundance of sin, and in you is the fullness of righteousness. Therefore I will remain with you whom I can receive, but to whom I may not give. We have to surrender ourselves, our whole being, our whole emotions, our pain, our hurts. Everything we have to surrender over to God. Because who can handle it better than us? God. With him, what's the term with him? Everything is possible. If you think about it, as we get closer to the end of the Lenten season, He can deal with the deepest emotions. He listened to his own Son from the cross say, my God, why have you forsaken me? God can handle our life, trust me, with all of our brokenness, with all of its sinfulness, with all of our self-pride. God can handle it. Trust in him. He wants to be in the picture of your life. We should let him. We should know that he will take care of us. God can handle all of our pent-up emotions, our feelings, our denials, running away from the hurts and the pains of life. God can handle all that. But you have to let him. Because when you do, you'll come to know the great and powerful love and his great and powerful mercy that he has for you. Trust in him. God can handle it. So why don't we let him? Let us turn to our